Hey, it's Barry.
It's Nate. It's Brian.
It's terrible.
It's Nate.
Thank you. And welcome back to the Collecti-Bros podcast. They sound like he's trying to squeeze out a turd.
Yeah, I was just trying to bring a vibe.
We're just going to keep teasing this game until this episode.
On this episode of Collecti-Bros podcast, we are talking about reproductions, knockoffs, and bootlegs. Are they worth it? Are they worth collecting? Are they collectible? Are they a sin? Are they blasphemy? Just general thoughts. Before we get started, if you like what you hear, follow us on social media at Collecti-Bros Pod on all platforms that are relevant.
And some irrelevant ones.
Some irrelevant ones, but we're more active on the Discord. The link to our Discord server is in the show notes if you'd like to chat with us, which we have great conversations there. And any announcements at all?
Announcements?
I don't know. Do you guys have announcements?
I love you guys.
Okay. Brian?
My biggest announcement is that I truly am dedicated. I found out how dedicated I am to try to be as unbiased as possible by 100%ing a game.
All right, moving on.
You know where that's going. Just a tease.
What we're playing, what we picked up. We recently went on a road trip, actually. We've been talking about doing a road trip with the three of us for a long time, and we finally did it. Little did I know it was a ruse for another thing. Thanks, Nate.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It was a ruse.
It wasn't a ruse. It happened to coincide perfectly.
I was told it was a ruse to get me out of the house.
Okay, we were going to go on a trip to the car store anyways.
We were going to go with or without
just
you.
on papers and stuff. I was like, we can bully Barry into this. Yeah. So I was like, I got this. Don't worry about it. I can get him out of it for a while.
All right, so these two wanted to go 5 hours to go buy sports cards. Now, if anybody knows me, you know how unbearable that sounds. Not to mention, I'm a terrible road tripper because if I'm not driving the car, I get nauseous.
You did great.
I can't look at my phone for more than 5 seconds in the car. I get nauseous. I can't read or do anything in the car for more than 5 seconds or I get nauseous. So, you know, Brian's driving. I thought we were going to die a couple times. Nate, would you agree?
Better than normal.
It was better than normal?
Better than normal. Brian's not a bad driver. Brian
doesn't know he can control his arms independently.
So
if he's reaching for something, he jerks the wheel with the other arm.
He's jerky. That's the best way to put it. Mm-hmm. He's not a bad driver. I don't feel unsafe, but he's very sharp move.
My biggest problem
and so then there's me, and then there's me in the backseat going,
My biggest problem is I don't play a lot of racing games like some famous YouTubers.
He's got that stiff arm. Anyways, so we hit a boatload of stores. So we're going to talk about some of the stuff we picked up, which surprisingly, Brian made some very large purchases.
Brian made a big
boy purchase. Nate also has some large purchases with some good stuff. I surprisingly found some things.
Barry found a lot too, yeah.
Which is shocking.
Honestly, we all found a great amount of stuff. It was a great trip, honestly.
We did. So we now know to not buy in our city because our city sucks. So
honestly, shocking. Yep. And we're not in the sticks. It should be better. No. It's very disappointing.
So who wants to go first? Nate, we'll save Brian the best for last. Nate, what'd you get?
Okay, for some reason some of mine's not showing up, so I'm over here doing right now. Give me 1 second.
While he's doing that,
I feel like they got more games than this.
You got a lot of figures and stuff.
I got 2.
True. But video game related.
That's true. That's true. It is video game related.
I just feel like I bought more. I bought all cards, I guess. That's what it was, maybe. I know I spent more this.
Nate picked a questionable hotel, which we learned the lesson there.
So my thought process was find something that said, my only standard was no fucking bugs. Okay? So I'm not going to say this was a great place.
Okay, look, it was questionable at first. Me and Brian rolled up and was like, what is this?
I'm not going to say they probably weren't.
We dropped it off. We're like, yeah, go to the lobby. And very ugly each other. We're like, bro. Like, I have my gun. We're good.
So I will say,
It wasn't pretty.
when we got there, the building was old. It wasn't disgusting.
Yeah, it was
and
definitely-
It smelled old, but it wasn't gross. Our eyeball laser beam those mattresses for bugs.
Yeah, that was
Couldn't
my
find
standard. Was like
anything.
I wasn't expecting a luxury hotel. It was a 2-star hotel. Let's not get crazy. Like,
It's a 2-star hotel.
yeah, which means there's a roof and running water.
I think Brian
Not
and I
hot
have
water.
higher standards. Yeah, so everything was fine. Everything was honestly fine until we all got up in the morning to take showers. And I got in there and I said, hey guys, the water is ice cold. I'm not doing this. I'm hobo bathing.
So I went next. Was like, Barry's just, it's probably kind of chilly. I said, no, this is Arctic. Like, you didn't emphasize enough how cold this water
He
is.
was going to try and take a cold. I was
I
like,
jumped
I don't
in.
like taking cold showers.
I
but
jumped
I'll
in
do
the
it."
shower. I said, oh no. Like, immediately, I was like, this is Arctic. This isn't just
Bro.
chilly. This is fucking freezing.
It was so
The water-
I
The
took a
water
sink
was
shower.
so cold. I tried to flush my turd, and it was like, I ain't going down there. No.
It froze your turd. Ice
I
climber
remember
style.
he went to the bathroom and came out and was like, hey guys, the toilet's getting weird.
Cold water, bro.
Oh my God.
Shocked. It was like,
Anyways.
So sorry about the hotel. It
know
allowed
for
us to
next
buy
time.
more games, though.
We know for
That's my
next time.
Is it worth it? We got bought a lot of games. All right. So
I'd rather sleep in the car next time.
we'll kind of rapid fire this since we all did buy a lot of games. But I did get a console. I've had boxes for the Wii U for a long time. I finally came across a price I was willing to pay for my Wii U, and I got a 32 gig, pretty good condition Wii U. Finally, price was right. Put it that way. So
You plugged it in yet?
no,
Okay.
I have like 6 Wii U games, and I'm not dying to play any of them. So
I just didn't know if you plugged it in and see if it worked.
I haven't. I hope it works. I'll be pissed if it doesn't. Yeah, so that was the only system that I bought. I did find 2 pretty sweet action figures that are video game related. They are Metal Gear Solid 5 play arts. I got the Burning Man and a Quiet figure, which they're very expensive online. These were priced extremely generously. Wasn't expecting that, but at the same time, like, not going to pass that Metal Gear stuff when I find it for cheap. So
You gotta go back and get the other two.
they had these cool
They had vehicles.
I've never seen before, and I think they were play arts too, weren't they? Yeah, I've never seen them. So they were a little rich for my blood. These were priced a lot more fair.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
You
before we
would've
go
almost-
back, can we let my bank account recover?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. So and I feel bad for complaining because Brian made a big boy purchase. But as far as games I got, I tried to keep this road trip focused on stuff I'm like actively been looking for that I haven't seen in town. So like I was fairly responsible, even though I did buy a lot. I kind of set a standard. I picked up finally a copy, complete in box of Castlevania 3. It's a game I've been wanting forever. It was just one of those games I've seen a million times, and if you've been collecting a long time, you're like, I refuse to pay this new price for it. I found it for the old price. So definitely like a highlight for NES for me, the library. It's one of the best Castlevania games. I'm very happy to finally own this. A big Elder Scrolls fan, so I finally found the 5th anniversary of Oblivion on 360. I have the PS3 SKU that I actually got off Barry a while ago, but now I have the 360 one. I picked up a copy of the collector's edition of Elder Scrolls Online Greymoor, which is one I don't see a whole lot. The price was extremely right, so I'm happy to own that one. Just looking for the one left, I believe. I have one more I need. The dumbest thing I purchased, and the only thing questionable, honestly, back when the servers were being closed for this little game called Deformers, Brian and I had a ball playing it. It was just the stupidest game.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. You can only play against the computer now. You can't even play online or anything anymore. But there was a collector's edition for $20, and it comes with 6 figures. It's a game I have like a lot of nostalgia for, and like has a tied like key memory of boosting with my brother. So I went ahead and bought that collector's edition. So I don't ever see this game anyways. 2 Worlds collector's edition on 360 was a big one. We were in one of those early on stores, and Barry's like, Nate, you're leaving with this, and just pulled me out, and I was like, what? And I saw it. I was like, oh my God, thank you for letting me have this because it's dope. And
I walked up to this case and I was like, and so I just like ran to the other side of the store and I was like, Nate, if I know you, there's one thing you will not leave the store with. I need to show it to you. He was like, what? This is what, the second store we hit?
literally, yeah.
I think you were like still trying, because this is the first day, second
We were still
store.
in the
I think we
state,
were
yeah.
trying, like I already made like a large purchase before this, but I feel like you guys were trying to like scope it out still and not spend your money. So I was like, you're not leaving the store without this game. And there's not a lot of stuff that you probably wouldn't have done that for.
This was the first thing I purchased on the road trip. So yeah, the 2 Worlds collector's edition's fucking awesome. Like, love it.
Now I need one.
Need to find Barry one. I want that PAL exclusive one too. So
we gotta play the tabletop game that comes with it.
It comes with a tabletop RPG.
The PAL one?
This one did.
No, this one, yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah, we gotta play that
for the
shit.
stream.
We'll stream it one day. But
bandits.
If you know this podcast, Two Worlds is like up there. And then my highlight for me personally, I found a copy of Phantasy Star Online Episode 3 card on GameCube. It is one I've been looking for a very long time locally. Price was right. It's one of the last Phantasy Star games I needed. So I was very stoked to have that. And in the same store, I picked up a copy of Phantasy Star Zero on DS. I've been looking for that one for a while too. I actually didn't even know that one existed until Barry bought it. I said, what the hell is that? I said, okay, I'll add it to my list. So like overall, I had a great time with you guys. Had a really good haul in my opinion. So like I absolutely we needed this trip and thank you guys for it. It was great. Sorry about the hotel and the water.
We lived.
Barry, I was excited to see you pick up as much as that you did. What were your pickups?
All right, I'll make this short and snappy so we can get through it. First store we went to, I spent the most money. I finally picked up Arc the Lad Collection on PS1. It's one I've been looking for a long time. Complete 100%. It's got all of the thumb, what are they called? Thumbstick covers.
Yeah. Beautiful copy too.
The thumbstick covers are what people lose and then it's never complete with. And so I got it for basically the price of just the games. Nothing of the extra. So I got the big box. Xena Warrior Princess on PS1, which Xena is a big part of my childhood. And Nate was like, oh, there's the 64 game over here too. And I'm like, what's the same game? I don't need it. He's like, no, it's not the same game. It's a fighting game, which is wild. So he ended up picking up that for me for my birthday, a belated birthday gift. So now I have the 2 Xena games. I'm not buying the one on the GameCube or the Game Boy. It's too expensive. Not doing it. I refuse. Armored Core on the PSP, Formula Front Extreme Battle. Nate picked this up. Was like, hey, there's an Armored Core game. And I was like, oh, for the PSP? You let me have it. Thank you.
Of course. Let me have one. Two Worlds, bro. You deserve it.
Got surprising Wii purchases. I've finally got the last Trauma Team game I needed. And I found Arc Rise Fantasia, which never come across. Ever.
We saw
it's one of the very few. Yeah, we did see 2. I think the other one was disgusting.
It didn't have it's
gross
things in it.
No, it was 2. It was like $10 more expensive for less. That's what it was. This, you don't get a lot of RPG games, let alone JRPGs on the Wii. And this one had the pre-order postcards in it still. And I got a sweet deal on that. I ended up putting that cover in the press and flattening it out. And nice. It came out flat as a bone.
Good deal.
I guess bones aren't flat. Anyways. Finally picked up Rise of the Argonauts on PS3. We're going to move on from that. I've been hunting Rise of the Argonauts forever, and I finally found it. Dynasty Warriors Gundam 2 on the PS3. Finally picked that one up. I just need the first one.
You said it so confidently.
Yeah, I did.
What is a bone?
What is a bone?
I was like, what?
Things just come. I should say things.
That was hard as fuck.
Yep. A PS3 game that I was unaware of and an Atlas game I didn't know about was Tears to Tiara 2, Heir of the Overlord. I said, what is that? Looking in this case. Not on my wish list. I didn't own it. I've never heard of this game. Grabbed that one. And the big one, I finally got the Destiny 2 Collector's Edition that has the sweet bag in it. And I'm so hype about this bag.
I'm envious.
So I've been using it. As far as playing, going to go through that real quick because I have limited time. So Final Fantasy Rebirth, beat that. 80 hours was fantastic, amazing. Playing Dragon's Dogma. It's a great game. I don't know what people are crying about. Still Helldivers, I guess, when we can. I don't have a lot of time. I started Pokemon X just because I had the itch to play a Pokemon game, and they've got their roster is great. I like X and Y roster a lot. I think people sleep on that region. And that's it. Brian, what you got? Or do you just want to list what you said real quick?
Yeah, I forgot to say what I was playing. I'm stuck on the boss for the DLC in Witcher 3, but once I beat that, I'll have that game beat, and I'll be jumping on to Final Fantasy Rebirth. But I've been playing a lot of the show. The new show came out. I've got feelings on it, but we won't get into that today. We'll get into it. I'll be playing it for the rest of the year, probably, maybe. But that's really all for playing. I've been trying to finish Witcher so I can start this podcast game and start Rebirth. So
What a great segue. So speaking of playing, I can't talk about it because as hinted at the start of the episode, I'm dedicated to y'all. I don't want to give an unbiased opinion. I will 100% this game. That's what I've been playing.
You like platinum? Like
Oh,
platinum?
no, I ain't going to platinum it. Fuck that. I ain't trying to play
then
on
you ain't
hard.
gonna 100% it.
Yeah. 100% completion. See how, yeah. That's that. All right. As far as pickups, before we went to the trip, I've had an actually pretty cool little flea market haul. I got Godzilla on UMD for 99 cents. Love Godzilla. Anytime I see UMD for the right price, I'm going to buy it.
Like the shitty Godzilla that's actually
yes.
my favorite Godzilla?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sick. But I got a copy of Amazing Spider-Man 2 for Xbox 360, the Walmart edition. I don't remember what it comes with. I think a movie ticket, but the price was like single digits. But that's an expensive game now, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. I also got Grand Theft Auto San Andreas gift wrap. It was some kind of promo item. I don't know if it was a pre-order or what, but funny video game related shit. Definitely up my alley. On the trip, we saw a lot of cool shit. I'm going to go quick through this because I know we're limited on time. But I picked up the Blockbuster exclusive Xbox Grand Theft Auto Vice City. I've been looking for this fucking thing forever. And just to stumble across it in the middle of nowhere was pretty awesome. It's identical to the PS3 cover with like the checkerboard pattern with the characters. But on Xbox, they only had the collection. So it was just like a generic, name with like the background. So this is even in the Blockbuster case, so that was pretty cool to grab. Also found another copy of Blackstone because Barry got the first one I ever saw, so happy to get that. It's, Barry wanted an Xbox game, so I was like, by all means, please. But
he already had a stack.
Yeah. And then also found Mech Assault Phantom War on DS. It's another one I've actually been actively looking for, which was I tried to focus on this trip for grabbing things that I don't see around here. I feel like I did a pretty good job. Secondly, I got a box for Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. It's the last one I needed to have the NES trilogy completed. I would end up ordering a book on eBay on the drive home, so now I have a complete box copy. Barry found this awesome store, like just walking around. She was like, hey, that Spider-Man 2 on Game Boy seems cheap. And it was like $50. The last couple on eBay sold for like $150, so I was like, I had to all day. Also got a sweet Primal Rage action figure, and Primal Rage friendly podcast. Maybe you guys might see something about that in the future. Also, anytime I see these for cheap, I pick them up. The Xbox 360 faceplates. This one's a Universal War one, but I mean, I don't really know a lot about the game. It was Sega
silly.
RTS, but yeah,
it's Sega RTS.
It's a reminiscent of the time and like completely useless now, but it's funny. It's
everybody and their mom had to print a 360 faceplate just because they could do faceplates.
I mean, the fact that Universal War got one, like, come on.
Yeah.
Had to. Also grabbed Enchanted Arms on the Xbox 360. Been looking for that one. It's FromSoft. It's been delisted. The price has been climbing on that. I got it for like $10. That's a no-brainer all day for me. I'll save the big boy for last. So, second day purchases. I found Rainbow Islands Evolution on the PSP. I've been looking for that game forever and just whatever. You can go on eBay and buy a game. That's not my style. I want to find it out in the wild. This one has some stickers on it, but just to find it in person, like I pulled that trigger. El Shaddai, another one I've been looking for every time I come over to look at Barry's shelf with her small amount of Xbox 360 games. It's one I don't have, and I've been looking for. I just never wanted to overpay for it. It used to be like a $30 game, and it's dropped significantly, so I'm happy to finally get that.
I think it was because of that port.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Limited run port.
Mm-hmm. Grabbed it. It wouldn't be a boys' trip without fishing games, right? So I had to grab 2 complete in box fishing games for the Super Nintendo. Bassin's Black Bass and TNN Bass Tournament of Champions. Both were like under half off on eBay in my app, so I was like, okay, why not? They're pretty copies too. Top 3 coolest things I found. Castlevania Lord of Shadows Limited Collector's Edition. It's a PAL exclusive. It's got like a mask, like a big steelbook. It was on price, and I was like, my app says like $160. I'm like, how much is this, man? He's looking at it, goes to the computer, starts typing, looks at it, goes to the computer, he's like, oh, it's not in the system. How's $20? I said, perfect. So I grabbed that. And then this stupid Connectimals Toys R Us exclusive bear with an FAO Shorts bear. Barry was looking through the Xbox section and she said, what's this? And pulled it out and I said, mine. Like, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It's literally like a giant box with like an FAO Shorts bear with a ribbon in it, but it's like Connectimals. Dumb collector's edition, Xbox exclusive. Like, this is so up my alley. It's not even funny. Like, I had to, no questions asked. And then the big boy purchase. I Didn't plan on getting this. Never thought I would own one, quite frankly. I have a cartridge. But we're in this middle of nowhere store. It looks like a liquor store. And we were like literally like on the way up there, like, hey, if this sucks, we can just turn around and
Was
leave.
it the last store we were trying to hit before making
so.
it to our hotel room?
Yes, it was.
Because I was like getting hangry.
Yeah. Yep. And I was like, bro, if this sucks, like it's 4 minutes away. If it sucks, we can just leave. So we walk in. Like they have games to the ceiling.
I remember walking and we got on the outside and it was like crappy posters and like hand-drawn like Link and Pikachu on the door. And I was like, oh no. And it's right across from like a sketchy looking gas station. I said, oh no. And then I opened the door and I said, oh no. Because it was packed. It was so much in there.
Right. I'm digging through the Xbox 360 shit. And Barry's like, you want a Castlevania Dracula X in the box? And I was like, haha, like whatever. We saw a very suspect one earlier in the day. Like I said, I already have a cartridge, but if I can upgrade for the right price, I would. So I go over there and look at it. They got $900 on it. Or was it 1,000? I think they had 1,000 on it.
No, it was 1,000. They knocked it down to 900.
So I'm sweet talking the guy, and I'm like, you know, is it legit? He's like, were you actually interested in buying it? And I was like, yeah, man. Like,
they did not want you to touch it.
Which I get. Yeah. I'm not talking shit. I understand. But I was like, you know, this game's heavily faked. Good segue for the episode too. So I'm like, open it up, look at it. It's beautiful. The board's legit. Everything's legit. And I'm like, all right, well, like how much? How much can you hook me up? I mean, I spent like what? Half off eBay on this thing. Like this thing's a crazy, like, you know, wet dream of a game to own. Like never thought I would own a copy. So now I have one and I'm ecstatic. My heart was racing the whole time, but I'm beyond thrilled, and to get it for the price I got. Now I have a cart to sell. So I woke up and it was a real dream. Pants were still dry. We're good.
I can't. Oh, before we continue, when you were saying, before I lose this, when you were like, it wouldn't be a boys trip without getting fishing games. My dad used to be on the state fishing team, and he had his own little sub team, and it was Berry Boys Fishing.
That's dope.
So,
that's sick.
I was wondering it's my last name, but it's
your only name.
It is my only name. It's my first name, my last name.
That's sick. Well, that's a squad.
So
yeah, great trip, fun. We saw a lot of really cool shit we didn't buy. Like we saw 2 copies of Panic Restaurant. Like what are the odds, man? And then
were they both in the box or just one of them?
One of them was in the box complete, and what they have like 3,000 on it, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, and then there was a copy of Aero Fighters just chilling next to that suspect copy of Castlevania X. But
I do not own that game.
There was a couple suspect ones in that case.
Yeah.
That game got confused with UN Squadron, and it was a hilarious moment where
wait,
shit, don't you own that? I'm like,
I was like, damn, look at that price thing. He was like, what, like 150? And I said, there's another 9 on the end of that, dude. He goes, oh, does Nate have that? And I was like, no, Nate doesn't have that.
I thought he did.
I wish I did. Shit. Like,
my shmups messed up on this nest. But yeah, great trip. Highly recommend it. If y'all can just get out of your area and go look. Like it's every time I've ever done it, it's been worth it.
Yeah, honestly, I've only done it a few times, but every single time it's definitely been like, shit.
The further I've gone, I've mega scored too. Like we
go on a road trip with Brian. Make sure you guys park and eat your Taco Bell and not try and drive at the same time.
Yeah,
cheese me, sauce me.
Let go of the taco.
It's terrifying.
Next time, we're not taking your truck.
We had to.
Yeah.
Now you know why we were so
Now I know
on Brian
why.
driving.
Let's just say it was me in the backseat and then all of our shit next to me. And if Brian took one wrong turn, I was going to be buried.
Yeah, a hard right turn, you would have died.
What about playing, Brian?
Can't talk about it.
He said it.
Yeah,
I don't know if you were playing anything else.
It's a little, unfortunately, it's
No,
all
he's
I've been
not.
playing, but I am trying to get through it and like 100% a playthrough.
I've been like, where you at? He's like, busy. I'm like,
dedicated to y'all. Want to give y'all an unbiased.
Well,
I love y'all.
If you want to talk to us about games we've played recently, hit us up in the Discord because we didn't have a lot of time in this episode to talk about them. But reproduction, knockoffs, and bootleg games. What do you guys think?
I think you have to view them all as individual different things. I think they serve a different purpose.
Y'all got personal experiences with them? Do you have any in your collection?
Accidentally or on purpose?
I got baited once, accidentally and on purpose.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that I had that wasn't real, and I found this out after a long time inspection, was a Pokemon Emerald box. Because it has the booklet with it, and the booklet was very fake.
Yes.
Like printer paper, black and white fake.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, maybe the boxes, and I think I got it for free. So it didn't cost me anything, but I'm looking at it one day and I'm like, I don't know, man, this is real close. I think I had Nate look at it too, and he was like, it was legit. And I was like, I don't know, man,
it's
look
really
at this
close.
part right here. And you were like, yeah. And I think it was the ink printing on a different color was offset slightly in an area, but it was like it had the holographic things that the normal card, like the boxes do.
It's actually raised.
Yeah,
like it had
it was
the
embossed
texture was
and
right.
everything. So it was
A good
really
fake.
good.
It's a
fake.
really good fake.
So I was like, okay, well, I don't want this anymore. And Nate was like, I'll take it as a placeholder.
So yeah, it's funny.
So you have
now
one.
I do have one in my collection because it's holding my cart and manual because I just have the cart and manual for that game. So until I get it, I know it's fake and I have like, I'm not trying to pass it off as real.
I think.
But it holds
Other
it
than
on my
that,
shelf.
I have one homebrew, but that's not really what I'm talking about today.
Yeah.
Homebrews are a whole different thing.
It's not a bootleg.
Homebrews?
Yeah.
No, I don't consider them bootlegs.
Okay.
I'm in the same sentence. I don't think that's.
I mean, we can talk
bootleg.
about homebrews if you guys want. I don't consider them reproduction
I have a lot better
knockoffs or
feelings.
bootlegs.
I have a lot better feelings about homebrews and everything else. So
I mean, what's that Belugia whale game?
Yeah, one I really want.
Beluga, is it Beluga or Belugia?
Beluga. Yeah.
That's not a reproduction of anything.
Right.
Right.
If somebody made it, and to me, like that's art, whatever. It's fine. I don't have an issue with that. Or even if it's like a, like for example, in my collection, I have one. I guess it's technically a reproduction. I don't know. It's a translation. What would you say that is?
What is it?
It's the same thing. It's a
It's
homebrew.
a Spider-Man, Lethal Foes of Amazing Spider-Man. It's a Japanese exclusive Super Famicom game, and someone put it in like an American box, an American
It's a
cartridge.
reproduction.
Yeah. And that's the thing. They're not trying to sell it as an original. It's like, hey, this is a fan translation, but we made a nice box for it. And it was like a company doing it.
like super limited.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. I think that's interesting. I think that can be fun. It's an affordable way to play a game I'm never going to own. I have an issue where it's like you're saying, like someone's trying to buy a copy of Pokemon Emerald. It's a fake box. If you don't clearly mark that it's fake, like you're a piece of shit. Like I'm going to go ahead and say it. Like if you're trying to swindle people, and there's a lot of fakes out there, and there's AliExpress, literally you can just go on and order cartridges. There's people that make them. And yeah, thankfully, I think with the internet now, it's way more easy to tell. Like that Castlevania X we saw, not the one I bought, clearly a fake. Like the cart was a complete different color. So like you got to know what to look out for,
The
man.
internet makes everything accessible, but it also makes information accessible.
Yes.
And the matter of the fact is if you run a game store and you have people buying fakes as real ones, it's because you didn't train them right.
Mm-hmm.
And now everyone else is suffering for it.
So unfortunately, it's a problem around here.
It's a big problem. And it's not like, it just takes a couple extra seconds of not being lazy to do
Yeah.
it.
Like the tools you can buy to crack open carts now are so much more accessible than were back in the day. Like if you didn't own a repair shop back in the day, you weren't gonna have. Now it's like you can just go to Amazon and buy like a thing that has different size screws. You can sit there and open every
And it's
cart
not
with.
like you don't need, it's not like a one-time use. Like I
Right.
had a set for the store and it
Yeah.
was available at any point in time. And if we got Bubble Bobble, when Bubble Bobble came in, I was like, open that sucker up.
Yes, Felix the cat
So-
opened that boy. Like if it was over $100, I was opening it.
And if you honestly, like, if you go to a store and you're questioning if something is real and you want it and you ask them to open it up, if they tell you they can't or they won't, it's fake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
walk away.
Yeah,
Leave
walk
it.
away. Don't. Unless it's like $10 for
I don't
$1,000.
care.
Don't even risk
You
it.
run a game store and you don't have the tools to open up carts and you tell a customer you can't open up a cart. It's because
You got
know
suckered
what you did.
and you're trying to hide it.
Yep.
Yep.
It's an integrity thing for
Yep.
sure.
Yeah, I agree. That's shady. But I think that's a completely different argument than having like a reproduction cart. Like I know
Like-
you've got that Final Fantasy, homebrew or whatever. It's different than it was like, oh, here's a fake copy on PlayStation of the original game. That's shady.
Yeah, but would you as a collector include reproduction in your collection? Like say, Dracula X. Would you buy a reproduction cart to play the game and to include in your collection?
I think it would have to be a very, very specific instance. If there's something like, okay, Dracula X is a pretty good example because you can't really play on anything except for that, right? There's not like a digital version of that game.
There is now, but
Is
there wasn't
there?
for the longest time.
Like that's one thing that's like I would love to have that game. I don't necessarily want to pay. I don't like that game enough to justify the price point. I love Castlevania. That one to me is not a great Castlevania game in my opinion. It's tempting, honestly. $20 versus $200.
You can get the ROM for free.
Right. That's the thing nowadays, though.
And like eBay doesn't allow the sale of counterfeit.
Even though they do.
So technically, like, you can't sell those on a platform like that. So why would why am I going to pay some dude who's going to put it in a cart and slap a printer plate, sticker on it when I could just download the ROM for free and play it?
Nowadays, ROMs are so accessible. Is a way harder argument unless you just want something to fill the space on your shelf, which I think there's a certain type of collector that would really just have that shelf space with something physically there.
No, using reproduction carts as placeholders in a collection is just like strange.
I don't get it personally.
It's not my thing.
I know there are collectors out there who want, like, Contra Force is the one that comes to mind. There's a shitload of fakes out there, and it's like the most un-Contra game, and to have a complete copy of that game's very expensive. For example, there's a seller here in one of the stores I know. He has an original copy, and then he's got like 3 repros, but he clearly labels them as repros, and they're priced accordingly. I don't have a huge issue with that. It's not for me personally. I wouldn't do it just because I'd like save your money for a real copy. But I could see the argument if you wanted every Contra on NES and you just needed Contra Force and you can buy a reprint for $10.
Yeah, but if you're already collecting every single Contra on NES, then buy the original one. Like, there's a time and a place, and I don't think like, it's hard for me to have someone argue, oh, I'm a collector and I include reproductions in my collection. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a difference of buying a Pokemon Ruby reproduction cart for a kid who wants to play it and you don't want to shell out $30, $40 for a cartridge.
Right.
For a kid who wants to play it. There's a difference there. But then having, like, a reproduction Dracula X right next to your normal Super Nintendo games.
Right.
I don't know, man.
It seems like an outdated thing to me.
I'm in the same boat. I don't see the point of it. I see how some people would be like, oh, it's cool. Like, I've got everyone on the shelf. But, like, you playing your games or you just trying to film a YouTube video, bud? You know?
And I think there's levels. I think there's levels of it, too. Like, you got to think people like us, like, have large collections. Actually, we have small collections compared to some people. But, like, we've got pretty dense collections. I feel like we're in, like, a middle tier. There's, like, light collectors, and then there's a middle tier, and then there's people who go, like, balls to the walls.
Yeah, we have other hobbies.
I don't, but I just don't have money for it like some people do. I don't have $90K for a Castlevania. But
that's so wild.
You know, it's like if I went to my friend's house who was a casual collector, that's what I put that category in. They're casual collectors. They kind of buy the games that they want. They don't really collect them, though. They're like, oh, I really like, you know, Zelda games, and he buys Zelda games or whatever. I don't know. And if I went over there and they have like a little 20 game collection and they've got Majora's Mask that's a reproduction. Okay.
It's intent.
No harm, no foul.
You know, but it's not like, oh, hey, check out my game collection. And they're making like videos. Like, could you imagine like, I don't know, finding a TikTok like a content creator and having like a wall behind them like I have and them sliding in reproduction on there?
It's out there.
That's crazy to me.
I'm sure there's people out there.
It's crazy to me. I can't
throw any smoke, but I've seen one where a guy was bragging about a cart and he's like, oh, I brought the kid to crack it open, and it's clearly a fake.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yep.
It's crazy to me. And I think there's I don't know, people who don't know. We don't live in the age of ignorance anymore, man.
Correct.
You can't say that you didn't know. There's tools and resources out there for you to find out.
Plenty, including in our Discord. My
final answer is all about intent. If you're like, look, I want a placeholder, it's a cheaper version, you're open and honest about it, I have no feelings towards you. Like, that's fine. It's your collection. Collect the way you want.
I'll judge you.
Yeah, it's not my collection. I don't really care. That's my personal feelings. But if you're like, oh, I've got this, and you're like, hey, man, I hate to tell you, but like, it's fake. I think it's your intent. I think that's what it boils down to. If you're the type of person that wants to have something on your shelf for everything, I don't feel a certain way to your collection. I personally don't want that for my collection, especially this year as I've been kind of downsizing and focusing my collection a little more. I would just wait and buy a Castlevania X in a box someday. If I'm going to spend that much on a game anyways, I might as well just buy the real damn thing, even though that's going to be a hard pill to swallow when I get to Dracula X. But there's other Castlevania games, thankfully, I still don't have that I'll buy before that. But
so you would be totally fine with someone creating YouTube content that has an entire wall of reproduction?
If it was just a back piece, that's all they kept it as, and they were honest and open about it, I have no problems with it. Now, if they're starting to act like they're hot
that's
shit,
what I mean.
Yeah, fuck them. That's bullshit. That's intent, though. If you're like, I just want a back piece, it's like people like, I watch podcasts, people have like a bookshelf in the background. It's a pull down screen. They don't act like they're sophisticated novelists. Like he's literally like, yeah, it's because I'm in my attic and it looks better than me sitting here smoking cigars and looking at planks. It's like, it looks like books. It's funny. And it's like a running gag where he's a NFL linebacker and it's like your library back there, but he's not acting like he's some sophisticated asshole. I think if you're like, I'm hot shit and I have a huge game collection, they're all repros, like, fuck you. That's intent. That means you're a butthole. So, I think there's far more wiggle room for the homebrew crap. I have no issues with that. It's the reproductions and fakes. And that's the thing, that they're fake. They're not placeholders. They're not, just wait. If you have the patience, the small amount of patience, where I'd rather spend $20 on a fake version than just save that $20 to go towards the real one. Like, I do have questions. I don't judge you, but I have questions.
I don't think people should sell reproductions.
I think it's I think if you're like 3D printing it for free,
I think it's weird when you see like games like Super Mario World where there's literally millions of them, and you see a fake, and you're like, why?
I understand.
I don't understand it.
Markets, I didn't get it.
I don't agree with it, but I understand more of like the rare shit. But like seeing common, like Mario 3, I've seen bootlegs for Mario 3 with different labels, and I'm like, why?
Here's my list of why I don't think they should exist. Period. A, they're never, ever, 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 ever annotated on those that they're reproductions.
Nope.
Ever. They look just like the original, so it opens up the market of people selling them as the original.
Mm-hmm.
You created that. If you're creating a reproduction cart and selling it and not annotating anywhere on that label or that cartridge, reproduction, not original, you're creating that market later.
Yep.
You're shitty. Sorry.
I agree.
Secondly, why, like, you're charging people a service to do something they could have done for free.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand, like, I mean, I guess you have to pay for the hardware to like do it, but
like a penny on Alibaba.
You got the ROM for free from somebody else. Like, they probably, say Brian rips Dracula X on his computer and gives me a ROM copy. I got that from him for free.
He's not building a board.
Right.
Right.
I'm just like, okay. But
that's a good point.
I'm just like, what do you do? You're just buying stuff. It's the same as drop shippers. And I just,
What is
drop
that?
shippers.
You guys explain that to me. I don't know what that is.
Drop shipping is,
It's when you're selling stuff you don't own yet.
It's kind of what He Who Shall Not Be Named did. Yeah, you basically sell things that you don't own yet and then ship them directly to that person.
I hate that shit. That's immoral to me, because what if it gets delayed or canceled? Then what?
You don't touch anything.
Yeah,
it's not on you. It's on shipping.
I don't like that.
Yep. Happened.
So they'll buy, X amount of whatever, like, say a company will sell something in quantity of 50 only.
Mm-hmm.
You don't buy the 50 and sell them as individual units. You only sell them yourself on your little dropship website as 50 units. And then when someone places an order for 50 units, you buy it directly from that distributor and ship it directly to your customer.
So, an extra step.
Yep.
When the customer could have bought it directly
That's what I'm saying.
them.
It's a middleman.
But usually there's it's gate kept. So it's like people have to have, distributor licenses to buy from these places.
Right. Okay.
You need an account, basically. Yeah.
So, and I guess
Scummy.
that's BCW is the same way. BCW doesn't sell to the common peasant.
Yep.
You have to be a wholesaler. That's what it is.
You need a license.
You have to have a license to be a wholesaler, and that's the way you access it. And that's how he was selling everything on eBay. It's drop shipping.
Okay.
So I feel the same way about drop shippers.
Yep.
Yeah, it
And I'm
seems
just
scummy.
like, you're doing something that someone else could have already done.
Well, government
Like,
gets
you
their
having
cut.
an LLC and then, running your business out of your basement on your single computer with no overhead doesn't count.
Yep.
Come on, anybody could do that.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Government gets their cut. They don't care. They get their license paid for, and they get taxes, so they don't give a shit. The repros, that's the funny thing with repros too. Like, I don't see who it benefits other than scammers and people trying to do people wrong. Because I've been a victim to it. I remember I bought the X-Men versus Street Fighter, and I was like, "Why is this so cheap?" And then I turned it over, and
Yeah.
it was so tiny, and like my dumb ass fault for missing it.
And they bought it as original too, didn't they?
They were sold to me as original. So I took it back, and I was like, "Hey man, this is a reproduction." And they're like, "No, it's not." I was like, "Let me show you. Get your magnifying glass out and write on the barcode."
I remember that because you had to go return it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had a Turbo CD game that I missed. That was a repro. I was like, this is so cheap. And I was like, looking at it, I'm like, why is the art different on the back? And I found out it was a bootleg. It wasn't like a one-to-one repro, but it was like basically they made the crazy thing is like an actual turbo disc, so it did run on like normal turbo CDs, but like, yeah, it was like a fan made game. And I was like, cool. So I went back. I'm like, hey man, this is fake, right? The guy's like, no, it's not. He literally just put a new sticker on it after I turned it back in.
What was that other one? It was like a PC game that was bootleg. You remember that?
That we bought?
I feel like it was in a red case. Maybe you bought it and didn't know. I can't remember.
PC game, I don't know. If it was an old PC game, it could have been like just a distributed thing because like it was the Wild West back then. And
I can't remember. It was so long ago.
So there's PC stuff's weird, especially like the Wild West era, because a lot of times these developers wouldn't even publish their own games. They would just let anyone publish it for them. So like Doom, for example, has hundreds literally of different publishers that you could just stick it in. Some of it's like in a sandwich bag. I'm not even exaggerating. There's a floppy disk in a sandwich bag and a print off manual, but it's like an official release.
Mm-hmm.
So that's different though. I have a complete different perspective on bootlegs because like even going to NES, there's so many unlicensed games. Like that's normal to me. That's fine. It's somebody's trying to,
I guess homebrews are kind of bootlegs. Less reproduction, more bootleg.
Yeah, but
things like that don't bother me.
It doesn't exist physically. That's a different thing to me.
The terminology gets weird because like bootlegs and like the figure world are not the same.
Right. They're knockoffs.
Their bootlegs I have bootlegs and there's no justification for that.
No.
Period.
It all comes back to intent, like Nate was saying. Like someone made that X-Men versus Street Fighter to scam somebody, and it turned out it was me because my dumbass didn't pay attention. Somebody made Baby
there's
Boomer
the
on
argument
NES
though where they did label it and you didn't look.
Yeah, so small. They knew what they were doing too, though.
So,
yeah.
But
Like
on the same hand, like playing devil's advocate,
shouldn't exist.
They did it. And they
hoping
put on
that somebody would miss it. Yeah.
Because normally when we pick up games, we don't look at them that closely. We're just like, oh, sweet, a game.
You ever look at UPC? That's where it was. And it was so small.
Yeah, it was.
I look at mine.
I do now.
I'm so picky about condition anyways.
Right.
But like the normal person doesn't do that.
Yeah. Right. No, especially like the casuals just wants to play the damn game they played forever ago again. Like you're not looking. And it's sad because it's something that most normal people that aren't like collectors wouldn't even think that's a thing. Like, what do you mean this is fake? Like people are so excited to give their kids the Pokemon like fakes, and you're like, yeah, that's fake. And they're like, what do you mean it's fake? It's like you got all of them for $10. Like they're $50-$60 a piece now just for carts, But that's a whole other argument of why they exist. Honestly, there's no. I love Pokemon Red and Blue. There's no reason they should cost that much. They're common as dirt. It's a fucking stupid market, and that's
not anymore. Not anymore. Clean. They're not that common anymore, dude.
Yeah,
still a common
usually
game.
Busted as hell.
Yeah, because kids played them and fucked them up.
Busted and nasty.
But there's no reason those games should cost that much.
I think it's interesting.
Pokemon Tex. There's no reason Pokemon Snap should cost that much.
Correct. It should be a $40 game.
It's interesting too to touch bootlegs really quick too. There's a lot of markets that are just completely driven by counterfeit games. Like I know Brazil, they have tax issues and import issues bringing things in and out. They literally survive off of a bootleg market, if you will. Like every Genesis game that was on Super Nintendo, there's a Genesis copy of it that comes from Brazil.
I think it's a whole other thing.
Yeah, but I mean, like you're talking about an area that doesn't have an original readily available, and there's a little bit of a different curve there.
That's what I'm saying. I give a little more lenience to that because there wouldn't be any Sega Genesis in that whole country without bootleg material. And even to this day, they're still making Genesis games down there. Like if you take like the American aspect out of it, there is some areas where it's kind of like, hey, I don't necessarily think this is a bad thing. It's like necessity. Like they ain't playing games. The 360 era over there, every game's copied. There's no hard case, complete in box games in Brazil. Everything's in a sleeve. It's the only way you can play games over there. It's really fascinating that some markets depend on that. But again, I think it comes from a place of necessity over trying to screw people over, scam people.
Yeah, there's a place of necessity, and then there's a place of capitalistic profit.
Right.
On a counterfeit.
Right.
Because you can. It's because they can.
Exactly.
So you doing this kind of thing in a market where things are readily available.
That's the
and
thing.
taking the scummy route is you know what you're doing.
Yep. I agree.
So I think there's something to be said about reproduction cases. There's some really cool ones out there, especially for the 64.
So they fit your shelf better, you mean?
I really like the ones that people do reproduction cases for the clamshells.
Yeah.
Those are, and they're really nice too. Right reproduction boxes, though, same deal.
That's the
Yeah, I
thing.
don't like
Same
it.
deal. It needs to be on that says reproduction box.
That's the thing. You know the clamshell's not genuine
Yeah.
because they didn't come like that. And if that's just a preference for you, like by all means, I'm not going to judge you. Especially if you just got carts, you want to put it in something. Like, dude, it looks nice.
Yeah, I
It
think
fits on
that's
your shelf.
different.
That's
I view that as like an action figure world. It's like it's a custom versus a
Custom,
counterfeit.
that's a good way of putting
Mhm.
it.
Because I've seen people put like PS1 games in PS2 cases to match, or I've seen like the cassette Game Boy cartridges. I think those are really cool, by the way. But that's more of like a custom, and that just kind of adds to the art side of it, right? As opposed to like a pure bootleg. Like if you buy it and you're like, this is an original case, we all know it's not.
Yeah.
Right. And it's obvious it's not. And I think that's okay. I think there's totally room for that in a collecting scene because like that's a preference thing at the end of the day, which like I get.
I mean, we were at a show recently and a guy came up and was like, yo, check this Game Boy game out he bought. And was it the orange? Was it in the orange? I think it was in an orange cartridge.
Oh, the Grimace.
It was Grimace.
Yeah.
The Grimace game that was like a homebrew.
Right. That's awesome.
And someone had printed them and like sold them. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. And I'm like, you didn't get the purple cart? He's like, there wasn't any available. But I think he only got it for like $10.
Yeah. See,
it
something
wasn't
like
expensive, but it was cool.
yeah, something like that's awesome. Like I don't have a problem with that. It's not someone trying to maliciously scam somebody into thinking they're getting the authentic.
Right.
That's cool by me. That's just a continuation of art, you know?
I mean, it also begs the question of reproduction carts that Limited Run puts out.
That's a whole can of worms.
What do you guys think of that?
I get
They're
why they do
re-releasing
it.
the exact same thing.
I've got a couple, quite frankly. I've got a R-Type 3 for Super Nintendo from, who made that? Was it? I don't think it was Limited Run.
No, so that and you have Holy Diver.
I got them
Holy
both,
Diver
yeah.
They
also,
were
yeah,
never
yeah.
available here.
Correct.
And so
Right.
when they
The region specific.
it wasn't I Am 8-Bit, it was somebody.
I'll
It
have to
wasn't Limited Run either. I can't remember. But when they released those, I made sure to get them for the store because they were never available here in English at all. And so this was the first physical release of them that we were
Right.
going to get. So
But yeah, I snatch that shit up. I think it's cool.
I don't think those are reproduction in a sense.
Retrobit,
Retrobit.
IRAM.
Retrobit,
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
But I'm talking like, what was something that they did recently?
Like they Limited Runs did a Plumbers Don't Wear Ties on 3DO.
Just for April Fool's, though. It was like a very limited
Night Trap?
release. Yeah.
They've done that for it's one thing if you port it, but they were literally making stuff for old systems now.
And I'll say this, though.
I feel
Limited
like
Run,
they did that for Night Trap
They
too.
did.
I think
They
they
did.
might have, yeah.
they put Limited Run across it because they don't have like the actual console, like the branding or whatever. They'll replace like, the Sega CD banner at the top with Limited Run games. So you can tell.
It's
Do
very
they do it on their labels for their carts too?
I think so.
yeah.
I think
It's
so.
very obvious what it is. You're not going to get them
Well,
confused.
plus it's got like an ESRB rating on it. It's a
Right.
modern game.
Right.
They're not malicious about it, so I'm okay with it.
I think it's the same thing as like okay, you can go spend $7,000 on an X-Men one, and you can buy a reprint for $4. I think that's the same argument,
Yeah.
right? Like if you just want one, I don't have a problem with you buying that. And if you go look at the Marvel reprints issue ones of their shit all the time, but it's got a barcode on it. It says $3.99. It's not that original issue. But if you just want to read it and have a physical copy, like it's a cheaper way to do it. As long as they're not trying to pass it off as an original, like I've seen some shops around town do,
Yeah.
which is hilarious. But
It begs the question though, like hold on. Let me pull this up real quick.
it's weird what it does to the market though, because sometimes it doesn't affect it at all, and sometimes it makes shit drop like crazy. So it's an interesting. It takes a certain collector too to just want a new version of a game, that's already available.
Well, I mean, honestly, for me, like I want every Xbox Limited Run game. So if they do it, I'm gonna buy it.
That's fine. That's not what I so early. Yeah, I get that's a port though. That's a different thing.
I hear you.
That's updating it.
Talking about like making a clear limited edition cartridge or whatever, right? So like if they had, I know I'm 8-Bit did like clear Mega Man X, like they're blue, like that shit's cool too. Like if I was a Mega Man fan, I want that.
Yeah,
Well, anybody, if anybody's making things that are in translucent cases and stuff, like everybody knows.
Right.
The only games that did that were like a handful.
Yeah.
like it's like a
not
vinyl. At that
common.
point, you're just buying it because it's a different edition. You're not buying the original printing. You're buying an updated, new printing of it, which is fine. There's a market for it. It's not
Yeah, but
hiding behind something.
that isn't some dude in their
correct.
closet putting those
It's
vinyls
somebody
out.
that paid for their rights to make that, and then
Exactly.
Capcom still gets their cut. You get, the manufacturer gets their cut. Like
Right.
it's kosher.
I think it's interesting. Like I would buy a couple for the right price. Then how much you're willing to spend, that's your decision. But like if I saw that blue Mega Man cart and it was complete and it was affordable, I'd be like, yeah, that's cool. Lights up, hell yeah, okay, let me get that. Like, it's interesting.
Yeah, I think some of them are cool. It's just I'd be really picky about them. I get why they exist, though. I totally get why they exist. I don't mind that they exist. I think it's interesting to me when you get like Limited Run's making Game Boy games right now. That's a weird one. They're also like unique games though that didn't come out. So
are they licensed though?
That's the thing.
Does Nintendo license that?
It's like that patent's got to be like. I don't think so, right?
Like the patent's not
right,
up.
right.
So like,
I don't
how
think they
are
give
they
a shit.
doing this?
I don't know.
To me, I view it as like what the publishers did back then, like Super Noah's Ark for Super Nintendo. You had to throw a Super Nintendo game on top of it to overwrite the ROM or whatever. It's it's kind of like that again, in my opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's a funny kind of creative way to get around it, and it's at least they made something instead of just pulling a ROM off the web.
Right. There's an actual chip still there.
Yeah, it's on a board.
Another sin to me is reshells.
Yeah, I don't like it. I wish it didn't.
Do you know
exist.
how many? Okay, so I have that Pokemon Center Groudon Game Boy Advance SP. Do you know how many fake reshells of those are out there?
Yeah,
more than real ones
that are sold for
as real.
As real.
Yeah, yep. I mean, there's more fakes out there than real all day.
It's incredible how, and they're close. They're close to the originals.
Yeah.
They're very close.
You could burn people very easy. Even like people that are educated, you could burn very easily on those.
Yes. They're very close.
Even that, I think it's a 3DS. It might just be a DS, but the Gen 1 Pokemon one, like the interchangeable, that got like really expensive out of nowhere.
The 20th anniversary one.
There's so many fakes of that thing now, too.
Are there?
Uh-huh.
Woof.
Because they're
like about selling mine.
They're like expensive as hell. So
yeah, they're expensive.
Opens up the market for fakes.
Fake
Pokemon's
consoles
already
is wild, bro.
The
Like,
individual
fake
plates
games.
for that, they're like $80 a pop.
Yeah.
Fake consoles is a whole nother crazy thing. Like,
yo, okay, what was that bootleg console that we saw when we were out?
oh, the one with the Star Wars shit on it? Yeah, hang on, I got a picture.
Okay,
I got a picture.
yeah, please explain that one because I kind of wish we would have bought that,
I know.
to be honest.
Second time we passed on one, Barry.
$20. I want to go back.
It was like $20.
Yeah, dude, I should have got
I
it.
think we were saving our money, but now I kind of
trying to be
regret
responsible. Oh, should I already delete it? No.
It was like
I think I already deleted the
Star
picture.
Wars.
But yeah, it was like a knockoff 64 because I had like a knockoff 64
But I
controller
don't
on
think
it.
the controller. I think the controller was separate than whatever it was. I think it was like a Nintendo or something.
Yeah, it was trying to pretend it was a 64, but it had like the cover, the movie poster for Star Wars Episode 1 right on the front of it.
Didn't have a gun with it too.
Yeah.
It was like a Power Play 3 or something like that.
Something like that. Those are crazy too. Those like fake ones that you can get from like the flea market that's it's got
Right. 6,000 games on it.
15,000 games on it and people still buy them and I'm like
there's like 100 of them that are just Mario ROMs that they just changed like a background on or something. Yeah.
Like
See,
it's
so that's
just
another
bloated.
thing. Like, to me, that shit's hilarious. If I do see it cheap enough, I would buy some. Like, I should have bought this Star Wars thing. Like, to me, it's funny. And it goes back to like why you're buying it though. Like, I don't think they might have. They've obviously put Star Wars on there because they know it's going to catch people's attention, right?
Yeah, but I don't want to buy it because they're making money off of that.
Right. And also it's $20 and not $200. Like,
yeah, it's true.
Yeah. It's something like that if I see a horrible bootleg and it's just atrocious and it's literally, a couple bucks, like I'd grab it. Like I saw a Sonic 4 for Super Nintendo once. Like I wish I would have bought that. Cause it's clearly fake. You know what I mean? They didn't make Sonic for Super Nintendo if you don't know. But
this
horrible fake. There it is.
It's got Obi-Wan fighting
What's
Darth
it called?
Maul.
Power Player. So it's got a Super Joy 64 controller. Oh my gosh, look at this button layout.
The fucking gun, dude.
So what is this button layout? There's like oh man.
There's different colors, bro. They made different editions. I just think like
Wait, are they all plug and play? What's the actual?
I'm pretty sure they're like video plug and play, yeah. Because I think they plug into the top left of the controller.
What do you plug them into?
Video port, which like don't exist anymore.
Okay, here's the picture of it. There's no console with it.
I think it's just plugging in TV, dude. A video port.
I think you use the yellow, white, red.
It might be HDMI nowadays, but like
definitely
stop it. There's a cartridge for it too.
Oh, let's go, dude.
Yeah, but like, where do you plug the gun in? It looks like an NES port.
I'm assuming there's a port in the controller, if I had to guess.
Maybe it's just a gun. Probably doesn't even plug it into anything. Like, would you be surprised?
Look at this fucking light gun.
Or on top of the controller or something.
I'm guessing because it's got like a male end for it looks like an NES.
Oh.
I'm guessing you plug that into the N64 controller.
Yeah, so maybe the top of the controller.
So I think you plug it in the controller because there's like, you can see a little flap right there.
But why is there a cartridge? Where does that cartridge go?
Maybe the cartridge is the console.
Maybe you plug this shit into the cartridge.
But what do you plug the cartridge in?
Okay, we need to go back. I was kidding.
We need to go back
because like they're like $30 to $50
the cartridge is not on the instructions. I'm gonna throw it out there.
Maybe it's just something that dude had. I don't know.
How long of a drive is it? Like, I'll go back. I swear.
It was like 3 hours.
Worth it for the content.
Yeah,
you want to talk about content creators sharing bootleg shit? Yeah, we're about to do it.
That's the thing with those. It's like
it's going to be a prototype.
It's a bunch of shitty ROMs from like a bygone era that got dumped into something. And there's like, oh, it's got 1,500 games, but like 9 of them are Mario ROMs that they changed shit on, and people still buy those. You said something about it a minute ago, but like it's really weird. Like I remember when the NES Mini came out, it kind of like reopened the floodgates for ROM consoles.
I think it's a really predatory market, and I'm not a big fan of it.
Well, you prey on people that just want to kind of go back and play NES games and shit, like from that era, and then it's like
it's more so people who don't know. Yeah. I mean, people who are buying those is like your grandma that doesn't know anything about you other than like your favorite color is blue, but it's actually green, and you like playing games.
Yep.
So they're gonna be like, "Oh, I got you this Nintendo," and it's like completely wrong. You know, it's that kind of market that they prey on. It's those people that get phone calls and give their credit card numbers for a free cruise.
Yeah.
You know,
you got to pay to get your $10,000 deposit. Yeah.
And they want you to pay in Target gift cards. Like,
right.
You know, it's that group of people that's super predatory. And like, on one hand, we have an available plethora of information.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, if you're an old fart, you don't know how to use it.
Right.
Honestly, these young kids don't know how to use computers either, which is wild to me.
It's really weird.
Media literacy is gone.
We've been over that a lot lately.
And technological literacy is gone.
Which that one's surprising to me, since like it's so much more accessible than like us even growing up. We had to still go play outside and use our imagination. Like,
no,
it's
think
just these kids that like born with iPads would be a little more.
No, it's those things that like people don't know where to put a URL. Like you get a URL link, you don't know where to put it.
It's so wild.
They put it in the Google search bar.
Wow.
Or like people don't know what the shift key does on a keyboard because they're not doing typing classes in school anymore. I mean, it's that level of stuff where they hit the caps lock to toggle shift.
I think their shit's broke.
No, they toggle. If they want to make a capital letter, they'll toggle shift lock.
Toggle it? Wow.
Click their capital letter, toggle it off.
Okay.
I saw
it's just
a
like
meme
that kind of thing. They don't know. They think deleting a shortcut off of the desktop is deleting a program off of the computer.
Yeah.
Like they've got no idea.
I saw a meme that was like, the deadpan face, and it was like my face after watching someone that makes 3 times my salary trying to save a PDF. Like,
that's a common one.
Yep.
But it's like that's an old generation of people who like don't know how to make a PDF. But you've got young people coming up who don't know how to do things.
Surprising.
And they just, it's the age of research is gone. Everyone wants everything spoon fed. So now is like the prime time to take advantage of those people. It's like why it's so common now. I mean, like AliExpress and Temu or whatever.
Yeah.
That is too. You know how many fakes and bootlegs and
even
knockoffs
Amazon.
of any products are on there.
Even Amazon's got tons of fake retro consoles and retro games.
That's the thing. You go to Walmart.com, people, it's from Walmart. Like, okay, no, it's not.
Nope.
Like, there's tons of fake shit on all those. Like, it's sad. And it's not just games. I think it's like pretty much anything that you can make money off of, any hobby, like Pokemon cards are just faked out the ass.
Clothing, bro. There's
Clothing. Like, anything you can make a buck on, there's going to be, people preying on people who are uneducated.
Not only is it fake, but it got drop shipped to you.
Yeah, double whammy.
Oof.
Yeah, so I feel pretty strongly overall. The more we talk about it, I don't see a reason for them to exist. Like even this stupid Pokemon Emerald box on my shelf, like it's kind of more for like the funny of us sitting there examining the fuck out of this thing for 40 minutes. Like I'll keep it. It's a good fake. It's a pretty good fake, and like I'll probably keep it for the memory. I'm not going to sit there and act like I have Pokemon Emerald complete in box though. Like,
I had it in my collection as boxed.
Yeah,
and I was like, and I had to immediately like take it off because I was like, I can't say that I have this. Right. I don't.
I got duped on a Genesis game before. It was
Oh yeah,
Shining Force
2.
Yep, I remember that.
It was the right.
Is your box fake?
Box and manual.
Damn. because the material was like
That's
it felt
right.
different.
And the owners
That's
have only
right.
noticed it was actually
because we
yeah.
compared
We
it
looked
to
at yours. I
mine.
said, "Why the?" We looked at mine was kind of cut weird. I said, "Oh shit."
Yeah, your manual was super fake for sure.
Yeah, the manual was. I thought it was just
The
like someone
box was weird.
photocopied a manual. They because there's a Blockbuster sticker and shit. So like someone wrote it and just copy the manual. That's
Yep.
hilarious, actually. Like
Yep.
I'll keep this because it's funny. But the box, like the actual clam, looked fine. It was the
No, you
art.
had the paper box. I have the clamshell.
Wasn't the material like it felt
You had a
weird or
paper
something?
box that was
Yeah.
fake.
Cardboard.
And
It
then
wasn't
I
porous
questioned
and shit.
mine because I
Yeah.
was like, I have a clamshell. Nobody ever sees this.
Mm-hmm.
And so what someone did is they took the original.
Yeah.
Because the Genesis paper boxes are like terrible,
Yeah.
terrible design. They just get flattened so easy. So someone took theirs and then cut it like a normal piece of paper that you can put inside of a DVD case, and they put it in a Genesis clamshell.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's original box, but it's like cut up
Mm-hmm.
and then put in a hard case. So like I've
Green
got it
label.
up there. It's fine. I'm not like trying to upgrade anytime soon.
Yeah.
But I remember us like looking at that
Yeah.
one deep because you
So-
bought it for cart price.
It was like $10-15. It was stupid
I
cheap.
thought it was 40. You bought it for
That was
cart price.
that was the Sword of a Million in the other game.
I don't remember that one.
It was cheap, but so I'm okay with things. I'm not like behind. I'm not like scammed in my life for it or anything. But that's the thing. I think all three of us are fairly knowledgeable about looking for. We've all been got at least once. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
people who buy games frequently. So it's the scary thing is it kind of still happen to you.
Well, the fact that it happened to me on a CD-based game too, it's like you're not. I think people think just obviously that's the retro stuff on carts is what you're going to get scammed in. Like there's tons of Dreamcast fakes out there, which that console's notorious for people just ripping games and making custom labels. I haven't really seen anything in like PS2, GameCube, Xbox era yet with that caveat because it's probably going to happen.
Well, that's the thing. Whereas the printers and shit are so good nowadays too. You can make some really nice fakes if you want to now.
I think that era PS1's a little difficult because of the disc.
Yeah.
Because like where you're gonna get a black CD to fake it. They probably are able to make them now, but I don't think people cared too much with those ones. Because like if people are ripping those, they're putting them on normal CDs. I always see people's binders of like hand wrote like it's a mixtape.
Yeah.
It's like a mix CD, but it's like Tron Bond.
Yeah.
You know, like it's obvious. They're just like, I want to play the game,
Right.
put it on there. Same with DVD is I don't think Sony put their logo anywhere on there when they pressed it.
Weren't
I'd
they
have
on
to
the-
look.
Weren't they on like the inner?
Oh, it was a holofoil.
yep.
Yeah, there was a PlayStation holofoil
because
logo
you can thank
in
the Dreamcast
center.
for that.
Yeah, so maybe that's why you don't see them like trying to be fake. You see them as like,
fake.
we're obviously fake right now.
Right. I think if I could see it happening though later down the line. It's gonna. I mean, that's the thing. Like whatever console's booming, there's going to be more fakes for it. Like the carts are always going to be there, but I could see down the road, GameCube's where it's going to get interesting because it's going to be hard to fake. But if there's money, it's going to happen.
I mean, they make those formats. Same deal. I don't know if there's anything annotating it. But I mean, I get it. That's why everything's going digital.
Yep.
It's hard to fake something digital.
You just have to.
Can't lose money secondhand digital either.
Yep.
Sell
Can't
the
lose
seas,
money
bro.
secondhand.
Which is probably the biggest contributing factor for that. There's no overhead for printing shit and then
Nope.
fun time to be a collector.
Yeah.
That just means we have to go back to the older generations.
Yep.
We all got anything else to add? I think that about wraps it up.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I will say, if y'all see any like really, really funny bootlegs that's up my alley, please let me know.
I do enjoy looking at them.
Yeah, they're pretty funny.
I will say, like, especially when people are like, I know what I got, and it's like absolute shitter. I do enjoy that back and forth. So anyone wants to point out really bad ones, like share them in the Discord because I thoroughly enjoy those.
Yep. Links in the show notes.
Any shitty plug and play consoles, trying to pass off as legitimate game consoles, by all means, we're about that. But
We need to go get that.
I think that shares all of our thoughts. I think we all pretty much have the same universal opinion about these. Like, just be
Keep
honest.
away.
Be
Keep
honest
away
what
from
you
me.
got. Just be honest.
Keep away. To bring him in my house. Next episode is it worth it? Brian. It's not Brian. Nate.
Yeah.
Nate, what's the next Is It Worth It episode?
Next episode of our mainline series is Pokemon Snap on the N64.
Which I may have inadvertently mentioned during this episode, actually, once.
Hopped in the future earlier today.
Whoops. Pokemon Snap for the N64. Join us next time for Is It Worth It? Once again, thank you for listening. Questions, comments, concerns, drop them in the Discord at Collecti-Bros Pod on social media. That's it. We're out. Stay abreast. break the glass ceiling, yada, yada, yada. Same thing every single time.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye.
Peace. Bye.